Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining today. This is Bruce Collins at Cambium Networks. I'm joined today by Sakid Ahmed, also from Cambium Networks. Sakid heads up the ePMP product group within Cambium, and I'm product management with Cambium. I think we've met many of you from looking at the list on here, but welcome any of those that are new to Cambium. Today we're going to be talking about ePMP, how we're seeing customers leverage some of the benefits of the latest generation, and how we're seeing customers really accelerate that shift to the latest access point, the 3000 and the latest 4300 SMs, and what kind of benefits they're seeing from all the things that come with that. We'll have a little bit of a roadmap review. I'm going to introduce to you, I'll give you kind of a sneak peek at a new product that's coming, and then I'll have plenty of time for questions. Really like to make this interactive if possible. So if you have questions, it's wide open. If you have any questions about the ePMP product line, whether it's technical, business-wise, are you having issues with selling it or moving it or introducing it to your customers? If you have any questions whatsoever, they're all fair game.
Just don't ask for discounts.
Yeah, well, there's that. So of course, yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah. So if you have questions, you can put them in that chat window down in the part of the webinar interface. If you'd like to talk, we can take you off mute and just raise your hand. There's a little button to raise your hand on there, and we'd be happy to hear your comments as well. So absolutely looking for some interaction here. You'll see some polls coming up as well.
We don't want to kill you with PowerPoint slides, which I think everybody that goes to webinars, including myself and Bruce, too many PowerPoint slides. So we want to make this very casual. So ask us some tough questions. Let's get into it, challenge us, and let's have a collaborative discussion. As you can see, we're kind of bored working from home. So this is our one chance to show our face.
Oh no, never a dull day. Never a dull day. Yeah. So
that's true.
Okay, so oh great, we have a first question already. So somebody is asking if there would be if we can touch on the next generation ePMP products.
Not just that, Darren's been hunting me for E3K stock. That question is there too. Darren definitely looking into it. Sergio's looking into it. I'm looking into it as well. We're going to try to find something that we're going to try to take care of you. But we are building E3Ks and they're on their way. We realize there's a shortage. Sorry, Bruce, I just want to take a second question quickly.
No worries. So we'll definitely touch on the next generation platform and what that's going to mean for WISPs. The good news is that everything you're deploying today feeds right into that roadmap. So that's we'll be happy to talk about that here in a little bit. Before we get started, I did want to mention any of you that are veterans of the U.S. Armed Services or active service members. Today is Veterans Day. I really want to thank you for your service. And if you have someone in your family or extended family, we extend that appreciation as well. So really important to remember that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I know that there are some on the call here today that are relatively new to ePMP, and even if you've been using ePMP for a while, I think it's important to kind of reset or rethink about what is the value that that the latest generation of ePMP brings to you as a service provider or a WISP. The key things to remember: 802.11ac Wave 2. This is as opposed to some of the other competitors out there that are not that Wave 2. So what that brings above and beyond the first generations of AC or even 11N is the 4x4 MU-MIMO. So we'll talk a fair amount about that and what customers are seeing with MU-MIMO. Certainly the wider channels are there, not too commonly used as far as 80 megahertz channels, but what we really see the value is in that first bullet, the MU-MIMO, and then really the third bullet as well, which is the higher modulations. What we've seen over time as the 3000 has deployed for the last, I guess, couple years, year and a half or so, is that there are a lot of subscribers that are achieving that higher modulation, and it really does help bring up the overall efficiency of the sector. as we introduce those higher modulations. So it's a great combination of the MU-MIMO talking to two SMs at the same time, and the higher modulation has really helped the efficiency of the overall sector. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. Sakit, you can feel free to chime in here as well if you'd like.
Now let's move ahead on a few slides, and we'll talk a little bit about MU-MIMO and the need to upgrade SMs and all that. So we'll touch on that.
So the other area, of course, is the dynamic filtering. So really, this hardware is designed specifically for WISPs. So we've got some additional filtering in there. We support this beam steer antenna. Of course, synchronization is the key aspect of all of our point-to-multipoint products at Cambium. So really important to consider as if you are experiencing an increased demand during this past summer. We expect that to continue on, and the ability to scale up these sectors is pretty key to that. Backwards and forwards compatibility, so being able to bring those 11N subscribers, your Force 180s, your Force 200s, and bring those forward into a latest gen platform without having to do a forklift of the entire sector is a key aspect. And it's really helps people start to move towards 11 AC Wave 2. What we're seeing now, though, is that a lot of WISPs are saying, I've elegantly migrated my infrastructure, my access points are getting upgraded. Now, what additional value can I get by upgrading those 11 NSMs? Can I increase the efficiency of that sector by now migrating the SMs from the Force 180s and Force 200s over to the Force 300s, which are the Gen 2 or the AC Wave 2 subscriber modules. Of course, a little bit of advertisement, but it's important to think about the total cost of ownership. We do offer a 3-year warranty on all of the hardware. In everything we talk about today on the hardware side, it has a 3-year warranty, and then we offer that support from Cambium and as well as from your channel member, from Cambium's channel partners that offer that support as well. So Olivia, we're gonna make this a little bit interactive. So if you can pop up the first poll, and
how does this work? People just click on this?
Yeah, you should see a poll come up, and I see the summary coming in here. So
nice.
Really appreciate everybody participating in that. We'll keep it open here for maybe another 10 seconds or so. Give you a chance. This really will help us drive the conversation towards the experience level.
Yeah, we can see that almost 50% is hovering around long-time ePMP users, 12%, 15% getting started, and some are not using. So this is a good mix. Good mix.
Yeah. So that's perfect. We'll keep sort of for those of you that are, and we see quite a few that have been at it for 3 or more years, and some of you that are just getting started or kicking the tires, and we really appreciate that. So we will kind of cover both aspects. So let's talk a little bit about the infrastructure side of things and the access points that we offer with ePMP. Really, I'm going to go backwards here and start on the right and work to the left. But ePMP 3000 is the flagship access point. That is the product that provides you that full multi-user MIMO capability. So it offers the ability to talk to 2 SMs at the same time. It's available with multiple different antenna options. So certainly the highest density and the most capacity that you can offer is using the MU-MIMO sector. So you basically set this up with 4 sectors. You can do some channel reuse using our synchronization capability, and then but then we also have some other options that you can use to either fill in holes of coverage or expand out more capacity. So you can see the sector we offer from 2 of our ecosystem partners. We have Omni antennas, which are true MU-MIMO Omnis, from one of our ecosystem partners called KP Performance. You can see that there in the second picture, and then the Omni from IT Elite, which is also in the picture. That both of those are available. Cambium doesn't sell those, but they're readily available now in the market, and you can talk to your channel partner about getting access to those. The one on the lower right, we'll spend a little more time in a few minutes on this one, which is our MU-MIMO dual horn. Especially here in the U.S. and Canada, we're seeing a lot of use with dual horn antenna, with the horn antennas specifically. But now that Cambium is offering a true dual horn option with multi-user MIMO performance, that's a key addition that really helps you slice up those sectors into narrower 60-degree chunks. Also, it lets you kind of cut down on that noise coming from the side lobes and really kind of focus that beam on the areas where you have customers that you want to drive a lot more capacity to. So that's the 3000. The little brother of this 3000 is 3000L. That's a 2x2 platform. So think of the 3000 as 4x4 MU-MIMO. I can talk to two SMs at the same time. 3000L is based on the same air interface and protocol, but it's 2x2. So it does not have the MU-MIMO, but it is lower cost, and you can use this to fill in those areas where maybe you don't have that high density of coverage. So in that same instance, we have the sector antenna from Cambium. There's many Omni antennas available from the channel and our ecosystem partners. And then special call out to this twist port adapter from RF Elements, which allows you to click on multiple different horn options to again do those horn applications.
What's the gist of all this, Bruce? Is that we have flexibility, right, in the portfolio? I think that's what we're trying to say.
Absolutely. So if you can, if you imagine you've got some sectors that I just want to, it's a land grab. I want to extend into a new community. Maybe it's a new subdivision out at the edge of a town. I can put up a ePMP 3000L with an Omni. Maybe I'm only going to have a half a dozen subscribers there, but I can make that business case make a lot of sense with a lower cost access point. Put out those subscriber modules, and then I have a path forward if I want to upgrade that AP to a full 3000 later on. Once my take rate goes up, I certainly have that option. Or if I know I'm going after a dense area, I can start right with the 3000. And then the last one over here on the left is the micropop. That is really primarily looking at very narrow, short range applications. So think of maybe again a very small subdivision that just went up, and you want to provide coverage in that area. I can put up a micropop and have that coverage very quickly and inexpensively. So really looking at the SMs, the subscriber modules, are consistent across all of these. It really gives you that flexibility on how you want to deploy that, and you can do all that modeling in Link Planner, so you can figure out what kind of range and coverage I'm getting with each of these different options. Okay. And again, if you have questions, feel free to chime in.
I know some questions that people will have in their mind when you go to the dual horn stuff. Let me just take that, and I'll kind of go through that once you review the SM portfolio.
So yeah, so when I talked about the previous slide was all the access points, we also offer a whole range of Force 300 subscriber modules. So these are all the different Wave 2 subscriber modules, and really this is about primarily this is about range. How far do I want to extend to these different endpoints? But it can also be about form factor. So some buildings have preference for a panel type antenna versus a dish, just from aesthetics purposes. So we offer a high gain dish with the Force 325, a panel at 16, and then down in the lower right, you can also see a shorter range panel with a 13 dBi gain. So really think of those as short, medium, and long range links. We also have what we call our Force 319 series. It kind of fits in the middle there as far as range, but it offers, with the 19R especially, offers that IP67 ruggedization. So we really see that as, if you're going to go after a say a construction site or a factory location, somewhere that you want a little more ruggedized product, you can go in with the 19R, and that offers you, and certainly some government applications will require that IP67. They'll put that in the RFP, or they'll put that in the requirements, and you can solve that. Even if you're using a standard access point at the tower, you can populate a 19R and hit that that ruggedization requirement that might come from some government projects, like I think state and local government. And then the connectorized SM really gives you all the different ranges you can put on twist ports or external dishes to go longer range. So with that, Livy, can you pop up the second poll? And really what we're going to get into here is, with this question is, do you have, for those of you that are deploying ePMP, do you have a mixture of current generation like Force 300s and ePMP 3000s, or do you have you're kind of deploying all those combination, or something in between?
I guess a follow-on question, which is not covered in poll, if somebody wants to make a comment, is if you're not migrating to 11 ACSMs, what are the reasons you're not doing so? You can just type that in your question section as well. We are curious and how to help you get to more of the ACSMs and boost your network.
Yeah, and it looks like we'll leave it open here for another 5 or 10 seconds here, just in case you're thinking about it, but go ahead, Saki.
Yeah, so going back to all of this, one of the messages we wanted to convey that I think is, you know, in the WISP community that's not well understood is the benefit of MU-MIMO, on when to get MU-MIMO, how to optimize your network in MU-MIMO. And we're gonna have a slide on this very soon. But as you see these questions, one of the things we're trying to drive towards is how do we get you to upgrade your SMs? Obviously, you know, you have a truck roll, you have a cost implication, but giving backwards compatibility, it's not a immediate task. But the 3000 and the AC stuff has been around for a while. And from select customers around the world, we're seeing some great numbers once you get a nice density. And with a 4x4 MU-MIMO, you're in much better shape in getting MU-MIMO to work. So we're seeing some good numbers. So I think one of the main messages out of this session, I know there's people asking about AX and things like that. We'll talk about that. But one of the main things we want to do is how do we help you migrate from the 11N base to a full AC network? Because I think that's where you're going to see the full-blown horsepower of the 3000.
Yeah, so the results of the poll here are, you know, it looks like of people who are deploying ePMP, looks like maybe about 20% are have migrated everything to Force 300s and 3000. So you've got 100% of the network is 802.11ac. About 80% of those that are deploying ePMP are have a mixture, which is not surprising. That's kind of what we would expect because people are in the middle of this migration. So it's really that combination of I've got some older APs, I've got some newer APs, and then a pretty big blend of SM. So what Saki was talking about is how do we and what is the benefit of starting and getting more and more of those AC Wave 2 subscriber modules in your network.
And 35% says you're not deploying an ePMP network, but the fact that you're on this webinar is exciting. So obviously we want you to deploy ePMP, and we're here to help you in many ways, including the promotions we're running today for a net new customer for ePMP, the consulting support we will provide. So we're ready to hold your hand through the first few deployments. So I'm excited to see there's quite a few people here that are not deploying today. So we want you to be confident and start deploying. That's one of the goals of this webinar as well.
Okay, so so Saki, why don't you kind of talk through this noisy chart here?
Yeah, it's a noisy chart, but it's a good chart. So this is, those of you that have deployed ePMP, you know this is the wireless throughput chart. This is actually, I took this from a customer, and kudos to him. He was supposed to join this session, but he couldn't. Cajun Wireless in the Louisiana area. But he's got about 50 SMs on a 3000, all Force 300-25. And I think this was posted on Facebook groups as well, so some people have seen this already. But what I wanted to highlight is that essentially this is how we want to see this network run. He's got 50 or so SMs. We don't have the monitor wireless screen, but there's lots of grouping happening. But the beauty of it is the green line. The green line is telling you about the multi-user MIMO efficiency or the gain you're getting. So this is a 40 meg channel. and total throughput of multi-user MIMO as well as single user mode, there's a peak at between 349 and 350 that's hitting as high as 240 meg. This is very, very achievable. And the way you achieve this is you got to get your SMs to the AC family. And I get it. If you've got Force 180s and Force 200s in your network, it's going to take some time to migrate. But the carrot, the prize at the end when you migrate to all AC is squeezing a lot out of the ePMP 3000 AP. And the MU-MIMO, and something we don't talk about a lot is those that 4x4 antenna. You also have a function of downlink beamforming, which is if you're not grouping subscribers, you're getting a 3 dBA boost in your link budget in the downlink for a single user, meaning without MU-MIMO, you're still getting a link budget improvement, which helps your higher modulations. So from that perspective, this is really a powerful solution. And what we want to do is we really want to see more customers starting to put AC subscribers and seeing data like this. Because, we talk about AX type stuff, but Cambium's story on backwards compatibility, forwards compatibility means that every AC SM you put in, will communicate to AX APs. I've been saying this from day one. So there's a huge advantage here. And so I wanted to highlight that. And then Bruce, I don't know if you have the dual horn next or maybe not. Okay.
I think it's coming up shortly. So in addition to the MU-MIMO, what are you seeing other benefits of AC? I'm thinking specifically of modulation and some of those other benefits talked about.
I wouldn't be surprised if a significant number of these subscribers are in 256 QAM modulation. So something that I tell people is that as the chipsets go to the next generation, whether it's at 11N to 11AC supporting 256 QAM or going from AC to AX supporting 1024 QAM, one of the things we're seeing is the SNR requirement for each modulation is getting better. So where 64 QAM back in the day needed something like 30 dB C to I, you're able to get it at 27, 26. And now 256 QAM, you're hitting it at about 30 dB C to I. So that type of improvement, along with the downlink beamforming, along with the super heterodyne receiver helping with your neighboring channel interference, faster processor, lower latency, all of those adds up to a good story in terms of performance. And that's kind of what you should be seeing.
Okay, thanks. So let's do a couple more quick polls and then we're going to move into some of the newer products and the roadmap. I see there's some questions about that. But Olivia, can you pop up the third poll? So this is really around what kind of distance that you're seeing in the network, whether it's and you can read it there, but it's sort of it leads into the next discussion, which is around the antenna selection and some of the benefits you might get. We'll leave it open for another 5 or 10 seconds. Looks like quite a few of you have already voted, but
it's a mix, I guess, huh?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So again, I'll have to extrapolate out the people who are not actively deploying, but let's see. It looks like about a third are going to, a third or a little more are often going more than 5 miles. So you're looking for those long range dishes. And then about a third are keeping things 3 miles or less. If I kind of, rough numbers here. So it's kind of a mix. So I think, the approach of having high gain dishes, panels, different kinds of access point antennas makes sense. So let's move on to the last poll. And this again comes back to the density, and really this is sort of what's your aspiration as far as what if you were going to set up your network, what are you what's your business case driving, what's your density that you're looking to achieve. And again, you've got a lot of options with Cambium as far as what different access points you choose. but this helps us give us a sense of what you as the audience here are seeing. So this one looks. Let it go another. Okay, so yeah, so this one looks like about half are 20 or less subscribers, and about half are 20 or more subscribers. So again, it's a mixed bag, and again, the good reason to consider all those different options. In fact, this one is perfectly symmetrical right now. It's
Well, this
less
is
than
one.
5, more than
Yeah,
50, and then the two in the middle. So it's
yeah,
perfectly.
this is one thing I will say that traditionally, even if we look at CN Maestro data, Bruce,
Yeah,
we see
yeah,
the density to be pretty low. But the reality is, as a WISP operator, you probably don't have every AP that needs the same amount of subscribers. But you also may have had bad experience in the past. Not to call out our good competitor Ubiquity, but we know there's been scalability challenges in Ubiquity. So from that perspective, as I showed that data, 50 SMs pulling 240 meg, I mean, that tells you can go greater than 2130 easily on an ePMP 3000. So I think scalability challenges should not be the reason why APs are not loaded up.
yeah. And Sakita, I know you were looking at some data recently on CN Maestro.
Mm-hmm.
What was that telling us about number of SMs
Well, I think,
per sector? And this is
yeah, I think what we end up capturing is very similar to this data, where 6 to
yeah,
20 SMs on certain portions and a little higher on others.
yeah,
But globally, average is pretty low. It's almost sometimes less than 10 SMs
yeah,
per AP. But I can see that, right? WISP operators are challenged right now. You guys have to offer 50 meg, 100 meg plans, so that becomes an issue. You got the CAF winners out there and RDOF guys coming in and all of that. So we understand.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of these questions here. So we will talk about the next generation of the AX products here in a little bit. There's a question around using um, in the Force 180, you can actually use that as an access point to talk to a few customers. That's not something that we've carried over into the Force 316. It is something that we're considering. So we're considering it. It would likely be a
Uh,
upgrade. So you would purchase a license key to unlock that access point functionality. It's interesting to note the question here. So one of the questions we've had is whether people would be interested in that kind of functionality. So by your question, I assume that,
well, you
that's something
probably
that would
lost
be of
half the
interest.
audience when you said licensing.
Well, it's we have to
No, no, they're still here. They're still here.
yeah,
45 people are
that's good
still
enough.
here.
Yeah. So it's good to know that there's some interest in that. And then there's another question around some of the plastic covers. That is a challenge. We don't currently offer those as a standalone item, but I will take that into consideration and see if that's something that we can do to make those somehow available. I know it's not easy to. It would be easier just to replace that rather than the whole unit for sure. And then the next question. Okay, so the next question is if I wanted to cover a 32-mile link, um, could I do that with a CSM and a 2-foot dish? So I would start by saying, certainly put that into Link Planner, and that will tell you kind of what you could expect both from a capacity and an availability of that link. And it'll give you, and based exactly on the terrain as well. So it'll give you sort of a view of whether it's line of sight. So not sure if you're using Link Planner, but that certainly would recommend starting there. If it's line of sight, I would suspect it's possible, but it may also come back to what kind of capacity and availability you're looking for on that kind of range, 32 miles. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Again, feel free to put them in there. Okay, so let's go to the next. Next topic is really this dual horn antenna. And Sakita, I'd ask you to maybe comment a little bit about the dual horn, and then I did include those 2 case studies in here. So if you
Yeah,
want
that's
to kind of
good that
comment
you
on
did
that,
that.
that'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the overall scenario. Needless to say, as WISP operators, a lot of you have been starting to use RF Elements horn antennas and seeing a lot of success. So we love those guys. And what we did is we designed a MU-MIMO horn. And there's a lot of questions out there that has come over the years or over the months about split sector. How can I use asymmetric horns and things like that? So our first MU-MIMO horn product is a symmetric horn, right? So that's why you see the gain to be low. But if you look at the case study, you'll see how symmetric horns have a place because of the null fill characteristics, versus the asymmetric horns obviously will give you a lot more gain, but you're not going to fill the right below the tower. Why is this horn special? That's some of the questions that I envision is, and the answer to that is, look, when we talk about MU-MIMO, when we talk, if you take apart our 4x4 sector antenna, you'll see, the columns, the 290-degree sectors, they're spaced exactly at a certain distance from each other. And when we design the algorithm for MU-MIMO whatnot, we're trying to maximize the grouping, which is nulling for one guy and having active gain for another guy, canceling each other so you can group them without interfering with the both subscribers as you're transmitting at the same time. So same engineering, same thought process was applied to the dual horn MU-MIMO sector. So I think on one hand, I'm a big fan of horn antennas because the great front to back, reduced side lobes, just in general from an interference perspective, it's a great product. The argument there is, well, it's not a lot of gain. Well, my argument back is if you're going into a high interference congested site and you're looking at short distance deployments, it's a wash because the interference mitigation you're getting is a big plus, so that the actual low gain doesn't really matter anymore. So from that perspective, in a small form factor or whatnot, this becomes a very, very good solution for small density sectors. Having said that, we also support something called split sector mode, which you can look in the user interface and it'll say that, where we are recommending certain distance limitation between the two regular asymmetric horns and how you position them. And some people have attempted it and tried it. As long as they're not overlapping, they would work as well. So on one hand, you get the benefits of a symmetric horn, short distance. On the other hand, you can still use connectorized horn antennas. And as long as they're not overlapping, you can go ahead and do MU-MIMO there as well. So at the end of the day, it's a place where there's a really strong spot for this product. As you guys said in your poll question, distances are not that big. And you can really pack a bunch of subscribers and get that MU-MIMO benefit while leveraging the interference mitigation stuff. So that's my opinion, and as well as the thought process behind the design of this product. And I think that probably triggered some questions because no, did not get a okay. Sorry, I'll take the question and respond to that. This is a case study we did that in Italy. As you can look at the bottom right hand, the spectrum analysis shows how nasty this the environment is. So the customer here was able to serve people with 50 megabit plan on this one. And then I think the next customer is in Colorado. Tim Meads at Central. Next slide, Bruce. Yeah, so this was in Colorado. Again, slightly different topology, but it's the same thing. There's no mystery here. If you design it right, if you do it right, the horn antennas can give you some really, really powerful options.
Okay, and both of these, both these case studies are. You can see that the actual write-up is available on the website. So if you want to read about these in more detail, and certainly if you post some questions about this or ideas about how to use these horns on the community, I'm sure there'll be some conversation there as well. But a lot of interest in this, and we're really starting to see more and more customers use this dual horn as a complement to the full sector. Okay, so let's move into the roadmap. This is the software roadmap, and as you can see, there's an active series of software releases coming, and you'll see where we are today. And again, I'm gonna pick on Sakid to comment on the current status and the beta, and then we'll talk a little bit in the future here.
Yeah, so those of you that are using the product today, so the release that you want to be on is 456. 456, I think one of the hottest topics out there for a while has been 3000L GPS sync issues, some stability issues on the 3000, et cetera, et cetera. But 456 is by far the most stable. We've addressed some critical items there. And there's also some, hidden features in there that if you go to the release notes, you'll find that. 4.6 is in our beta site. So if you go to community or support.cambiumnetworks.com, you can download 4.6 for beta. Some incremental throughput performance, the variable ratio. That's a big one. Because something else that many people complained about is that, look, 3000 is great. I'm getting a lot of downlink throughput, but I'm not getting as much uplink. The reality is that we have so much downlink that there's a lot of overhead traffic on acknowledgements and things like that that are eating up the uplink time. So one way we solved that is we allowed further ratios in uplink downlink. So 4.6 brings that to the table. So if you have a tower where you're suffering a little bit on the uplink and you don't really need, you can sacrifice 5% of the downlink, this gives you a path to getting some incremental uplink performance. So 4.6 is a good for a beta release. A big red flag, just to make sure nobody's confused. When we say release 5.0 802.11 AX release, don't get excited. This is not your AX point to multipoint. We'll talk a little bit about a sneak preview of a point-to-point product on AX that we'll highlight. I'm trying to keep it quiet, but it's hard. But that's what this is about. The AX point to multipoint is ways out there. And we can talk about that as well as 6 gig. Bruce, if you think the time is right, we can touch on that because we are showing a roadmap.
Yeah, I think we'll come to that here in the next slide or two here.
Okay. Right. Darren had some questions too. I responded some things on the from Kenneth Allison on the chat window, but Darren, you had some questions about SM stop reporting to CN Maestro. I think I just heard about that yesterday. We'll take a look at that for sure. Darren, if you don't mind, if you see that next time, just dump out the tech support file and shoot it over to me, and we'll take a look at it. Maybe it's a device agent between CN Maestro and the device not doing this too long. What about Maestro Pro for longer graphing periods? 1 week isn't enough, and I've been told it's coming soon for over 2 years now. Ooh.
So that is part of. You'll see information about that called CN Maestro X. I think there's been some discussion around that in some of these other webinars. On the Wednesdays, there was a session on Maestro X. That's the new name for what was previously called Maestro Pro, and that will offer a 2-year history for statistics for fixed wireless broadband radio, so for ePMP. So you can see sort of that seasonality, whether it's seasonality due to foliage, seasonality due to use, and you can kind of track that over time. So that is, it's still coming soon, but it is the closest I've seen it. So I guess that's maybe an oxymoron because we're always closer to the next thing. But I do know that they are in active testing and beta on that capability for Maestro X, and I know that 2-year graphing and statistics is part of that. So I think they're still looking at that by the end of this year. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. We'll move on to the
fun stuff.
Yeah, Sakita, I think maybe you want to talk about this, and then I can fill in any.
Yeah, sure.
Do it that way.
So let me cover multiple topics here because you guys asked questions about AX and things like that. As you have seen clearly, 11AC Wave 2 took us some time, right? The backwards compatibility was extremely challenging. Once we got it, there were lots of issues and stabilities on backwards compatible stuff, so it took a while. So from that perspective, I want to set the expectation right that point to multipoint AX will take time. We'd love to get product out there soon, right? And we may even have it available, but the reality is that it just takes time to bake it. Because as customers in here on this audience says, give me that AX AP, but the reality is if I give it to you too early and you have a whole bunch of issues on your live network, that's not going to fly. So we're going to take our time to cook it. So don't expect any AX-based point-to-multipoint anytime soon. And similar statement, because we are have a North America audience here, we are paying attention to 6 gig extensively. We anticipate, and the work is underway, to build a AX-based 6 gigahertz product. So Cambium will be in the forefront of 6 gig. As you know, yes, there was a lot of talk about it, but the automatic frequency coordination, AFC functionality, still has to be approved, and the plan has to be given out by the FCC. So many vendors are out there talking about it, right? I know Mimosa's talking a lot about that. But the reality is you want to kind of wait. You want to get the product that gives you the entire, 1 gig of spectrum, and with the right portfolio mix and things like that. I know Mimosa says, hey, ours goes up to 6.4. We'll just certify it. Well, you're going to deploy a 6.4 Mimosa, and then a few months later, maybe Cambium will have something that goes all the way to 7 gig, and then you're going to be faced with moving things around. So just a commentary on 6 gig. We're very serious. We're on it. We're on a roadmap. We're working on it. But just like the ePMP, it's complex, and we need to stabilize and cook things. That's my soundbite for the AX in the future. But I'm also very excited that this product right here is a first AX-based point-to-point. Naturally, it's sub 5 gig, but it goes up to 6135 for the rest of the world, all the way down to 4.9. And depending on what region you're in, this product can be a very powerful, economical solution for enterprise access, short hop point-to-point. We've seen this thing do an 80 megahertz easily, 850, 890 megabits of TCP traffic on a 2-kilometer link, for example, holding 1024 QAM. So that's what this product is all about. I think, and Bruce will show you the next slide, but I think we got our mechanical issues resolved because there were a lot of complaints on Force 300-25. So the brackets and how the radio attaches to the back of the dish, etc., we believe we got it right. Some customers in North America are engaged in beta. At some point, we'll ask them to talk publicly about it, but right now they're just working with our development team. But we're very, very excited because it does get our feet wet in the AX technology. And with that, Bruce, I'll hand it over to you to talk about some of the details if you like.
Sure. Yeah. So that's a great introduction, and really there were some questions about 11AX. So this is really Cambium's first entry into the 11AX product technology, and this is a point-to-point solution. You'll see more details on this in January. There'll be a full detailed webinar, and we can go through all the details of this product in January, and it'll be available for purchase about that time as well. So it's up to a gigabit per second. So it's really targeting really 3 applications, but I would focus kind of on 2. The enterprise access is a key capability. So if you're looking to deliver 500 megabit per second, 800 megabit per second packages, service offerings to businesses, this becomes a very cost-effective way to do that. And it is leveraging some of the higher modulations that you get with 11AX, and even so really a nice solution for that. It's also useful for some if you want to feed some micropops or small cells with lots of capacity, it can be used for that purpose. And then we're also seeing an application for those of you that are deploying hybrid networks with some fiber. This can be a nice last mile fiber extension. It's say you have fiber on one side of the highway and you need to get that last bit to an area where I can't trench or run aerial. This becomes a very cost-effective and rapid way to deploy lots of capacity out to that last mile. I think we covered the rest of it. I just wanted to give you a sneak peek at this. You can see the images there, that there's both a integrated dish as well as a connectorized version that you can use with horn antennas, or some if you wanted to put a higher gain dish on there as well. And other than that, look for more information. If you like, you can reach out to your channel partner. They'll have some information on this. But again, more details to come, and look for this available in sort of that January timeframe. This is a very detailed slide. I know, Sakid, you referenced some data, but maybe just highlight some of the capacity we're seeing in the initial field trials. I can get my
Yeah,
mentions.
I kind of responded in a message there, but the long story short, this is a 2-kilometer link. I'm not going to say it is a clean channel, but it's also not a super crazy channel. It's relatively clean. I wish I had a plot of the RSSI, but it's or sorry, the SNR, but it's a clean channel. But at 80 megahertz on the table that you see in the middle, we're seeing about 812 megabits of TCP throughput all the way in the bottom, 408, 404 in each direction. That's considerably higher than an 11AC Wave 2 product. So the combination of 1024 QAM, combination of shorter guard intervals. In fact, AX brings some super efficiencies in how much overhead you have on data transfer. So we're able to leverage all that. And this is going to come out with the ePTP mode first. We're not going to do a TDD point-to-point. The use case for that is very seldom. So ePTP, so latency is going to be a little higher than the Force 200, hovering around 4 millisecond or so. But all in all, the throughput and the latency with ePTP mode, I think this is going to be a rock star, in my opinion. I think this will allow us and you guys to do quite a bit of work around 5 gig point-to-point again. And as you can see, this is done with not just a link test, but using RB4011 routers and generating bandwidth tester. And you can see that there's a lot of traffic, 97.3% of the packets in 1024 QAM, both in downlink and uplink. That's the kind of behavior you want out of this. But as you go to interference environments, of course, that modulation will drop. But as I said a long time ago in this webinar, that as you look at the next generation chipsets, your SNR requirements are getting better. So to hold 1024 QAM, you have to be a pretty darn good radio. So that's kind of where we are.
Okay, good stuff. And there is an extensive trial and testing going on. It's been underway in the field for about the last 30, 45 days, and that will continue on until that launch timeframe I mentioned in January. So lots of field experience being gained. And as we move to the kind of the ultimate roadmap slide here, really want to say that this is our entree into 802.11ax. So we're learning lots of ways to leverage all the new, sort of the new bells and whistles that come along with AX, and those are all going to be ultimately leveraged into the overall ePMP platform. So again, if you may have seen this chart before, extending from the original ePMP 1000, which offered a synchronized solution at about 200 megabits per second. Then we introduced the 2000, which offered that interference mitigation with the hardware filtering and the uplink beam steering. Then we had a major jump in capability with the ePMP 3000 that offers the 4x4 MU-MIMO, the 256 QAM, the 80 megahertz channels. Just as importantly, it offered that backwards compatibility to bring those 11N subscriber modules into the future and allow you to very elegantly, or as your business case drove it, migrate from those 11N to 11AC Wave 2 subscriber modules, Force 300 SMs. So now we look at this next generation coming down the pipeline, which is the Y6 or the 802.11ax products. And some of the benefits that Sakid mentioned, certainly the higher modulations come to play, the higher channel bandwidths come to play, especially in as you look at getting into 6 gigahertz. And then also 8x8 MU-MIMO. So now instead of talking to 2 subscribers, I can talk to 4 subscribers. So again, a doubling of capacity with more higher modulations. So really another sort of step function increase in capacity and capability. We also look at this as being able to bring those Force 300 subscriber modules forward. It's one of the complexities of introducing AX products, multi-point, is being able to bring those AC Wave 2 subscriber modules into the future use them within MU-MIMO groups and be able to bring that to next generation of capacity and capability. So the engineering team is hard at work on this. We have regular iterations of the hardware being developed as we speak, and of course the software is well underway. So don't look for this until really around the end of next year, the end of 2021. So you're good to go with deploying the 3000s, the Force 300s, and then just be comfortable that and confident that the ePMP platform continues to evolve as AX comes into play, and we'll be out there with products that offer that same migration path and the higher performance that you would expect. So I'll pause there, see if there's any more questions. And that's really the content that we wanted to kind of present today. But we do have plenty of time if you have questions. Again, sort of throw it open to any kind of any topic you'd like to cover. Of course, you can always reach out to Sakit or I if you have particular questions, and the community is a great place to ask questions as well. On timing, I would not look at deploying AX point to multipoint in 2021. I would start thinking about beta at the end of 21 and deployment in 22. That's going to be based, and it's really a combination of things. It's a combination of the chipset manufacturers are evolving their designs, bringing the cost into line with what we need to do for a subscriber module. But then also the chipsets themselves and the evolution of the software on them is still well underway. So we'll see that happen over the next 12 months into a beta, and then again I'd look at it as sort of an early 22. The other thing that's important, I think I mentioned it, but for those of you in North America, and also those of you that are in parts of the world that have access to 6 gigahertz already, we will be able to offer this product in an AX product in the full 6 gigahertz band as well. So again, that's something that we are working with the spectrum allocation service providers, as well as the chipset manufacturers and the antenna designs, to make sure that we offer a strong 6 gigahertz solution as soon as the FCC frees up that band. So you may see some 6 gigahertz products. Our intention is to be ready to go when the FCC is ready to go, and we know that they're still sort of grinding through the final rules process on that. But that's something that we're actively involved in with Cambium and understanding the regulatory environment there. Ski, there's quite a few questions coming in now, so that's great. Let's see if
I hit some.
Yeah, I see you're answering some. I don't know if everyone can see the question when you answer.
Yeah, I'm doing send to all, so it should.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just respond to Darren, you asked a good question. You're still committing N-based SM support to AX? I'm going to swallow really hard and say yes. But no, just joking. That is the plan. Is there a performance hit having mix of N and AC SMs on 2004 by sector? No, there is not. Are there any plans for a channel partner show in the future? The last one I was able to attend was extremely useful for me to be able to discuss minor issues with the engineers and learn about the products. Yeah, that wouldn't be a channel partner show, but we're more than happy. If you want, and if the audience here would like to, we can certainly do another virtual webinar, right? Maybe 1 or 2 hours where we get some engineers on the call and ask us anything type situation, right? You can share your screen, talk about some problems, talk about some guidance, and we're happy to host a virtual Ask Us Anything session. We can either do it via webinar or we can do it via our community and just respond to questions. So let us know if you think that would be helpful.
Just comment on that. The question about is there a performance hit in mixing N and AC? I think you're correct that there is not. There is a benefit to having all AC because you get the opportunity to have MU-MIMO on all those SMs gets better, and the overall efficiency of the sector gets better. So while there's not a hit to have a mix, there is a benefit to have all AC.
In fact, once you make that AP transition, there's actually advantages to latency. And then something called LDPC and MRC and the uplink, those actually help you as soon as you change the AP out. So you get a little gain advantage in the uplink, the 4 receive chains on the 3000, and then the LDPC coding improvements. But at the end of the day, what Bruce is saying is what I am also been saying is you want to go to the ACSMs. Here's a good one. Would you mind comparing and contrasting why I would use AXPTP versus 60 gigahertz? Seems like the use cases are comparable. Is price meaningfully different? So the answer is, relatively simple, right? On one hand, 60 gig is relatively clean spectrum, but it is impaired by, challenges by weather as well as limitation on distance and line of sight, hard line of sight requirements, because you got the super narrow beam that has to connect up to the other side. So that's like, the pros are like, yeah, you're getting 2 gigabits of throughput, and you're obviously using a very wide channel bandwidth. But very short distance, urban environment, down the street type thing, yeah, I think 60 gig is a great option. The AXPTP, I think, revolutionizes 5 gig to some extent. So if you're not, worried about weather type issues, or you're not, your line of sight requirements are not absolutely hard, or you need a little bit longer distance, you go with AXPTP. So there's place for both of them.
Okay. Great. There's a question here about fiber extension and using Wi-Fi. I'll give you my thoughts. Fiber extension is really an option to feed enterprise access. If I'm just trying to deliver business connectivity to an end user or an office complex. Once you get into that office, you can then either leverage their in-building wired solution, or certainly migrate to Cambium's Wi-Fi access points, both indoor and outdoor. So you've got those options. But really, fiber extension is really extending that effectively extending layer 2 where you can't get a fiber to. So it's really think of it just as flexible from that standpoint. Unless I missed the question, I think that's what you're asking about.
Yeah, it's I may have gotten a little confused myself. Wi-Fi 6 after a fiber extension. That looks like you got the answer.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're getting close to the top of the hour. Appreciate all the great questions everybody had. Again, if you have other questions, you can hit us up on the community, and we'll comment there. Olivia is going to make this recording available, and if you'd like to take a look afterwards, or if one of your colleagues wasn't able to join. So again, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it, and we will talk to you folks down the road.
All right, thank you very much.